Welcome back. I'm your host at Navy Legends, and I want to begin this one with a question that naval strategists have been debating quietly, but with increasing urgency since the USS Mount Whitney incident in the Gulf of Oman 8 months prior. Why is the most important ship in the theater the least defended one? The question sounds rhetorical. It is not. It is a precise description of a structural vulnerability in U.S. naval command architecture that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has studied with the kind of patient, methodical attention that only an adversary with decades of operational experience against American forces can bring to a targeting problem. The Blue Ridge class command ship is a 1960s design. Her hull was laid down when the threats she would face were Cold War aircraft and diesel submarines. She carries no VLS system. She carries no SM-2 or SM-6. Her self-defense suite consists of 2 RAM launchers and 2 Phalanx CIWS blocks. She is, in the language of surface warfare, a soft-skin high-value unit, a target whose neutralization would produce an operational disruption to U.S. naval command and control in the theater that no amount of individual warship capability can compensate for, because the Blue Ridge does not carry missiles or aircraft. She carries admirals, staff officers, communication systems, and the integrated battle management architecture that connects every U.S. naval asset in the 5th Fleet area of responsibility into a coherent operational whole. Removing her, even temporarily, removes the connective tissue of the entire theater command network. The IRGC's targeting staff had been building the case for a strike on the USS Blue Ridge for 11 months before the events of August 14, 2027. Not a theoretical exercise. An operational plan with a specific window, a specific weapon mix, and a specific desired effect. Not to sink the Blue Ridge, but to render her battle management systems non-functional for long enough that a simultaneous Iranian conventional military action in the Strait of Hormuz could proceed for 30 to 45 minutes without coherent U.S. naval coordination. The date is August 14, 2027. The time is 4:08 local. The Gulf of Oman, approximately 110 nautical miles southeast of Bandar Abbas, and 145 nautical miles northeast of the port of Muscat. The USS Blue Ridge, LCC-19, a Blue Ridge-class amphibious command ship serving as the flagship of U.S. 7th Fleet's forward-deployed command element, is operating with a modified escort consisting of the guided missile destroyer USS Nitze DDG-94, positioned 11 nautical miles to her northwest on the northern threat axis, and the guided missile frigate USS Constellation FFG-62, operating 9 nautical miles to her southeast. The Blue Ridge herself maintains a course of 180 degrees at 12 knots, her communications masts and satellite antenna arrays fully deployed and actively transmitting, a non-negotiable operational requirement for a command ship whose primary mission is continuous connectivity to the theater command network. Those transmissions are detectable. They are distinctive. They are, to the IRGC's electronic intelligence capability, a continuous position beacon. The Soumar is Iran's longest-range land attack and anti-ship cruise missile, a turbofan-powered, terrain-following weapon derived from the Soviet Ka-55 with Iranian modifications to its guidance system, warhead, and launch infrastructure. Its assessed anti-ship configuration, designated Soumar-M by U.S. analysts, uses a combined GPS and passive radar terminal seeker that acquires a ship's radar emission signature in the terminal phase of its approach. Against a target like the USS Blue Ridge, which is actively transmitting on multiple radar and communications frequencies as a fundamental requirement of her mission, the Soumar-M's passive radar seeker has an exceptionally high probability of target acquisition. The Blue Ridge cannot stop transmitting. If she stops transmitting, she ceases to function as a command ship. The IRGC understands this constraint precisely. They designed the attack around it. The Soumar-M carries a 400-kilogram semi-armor-piercing warhead optimized to penetrate the light structural steel of a command ship or amphibious vessel and detonate inside the hull, rather than on the surface. Its approach profile is terrain following at low altitude, between 30 and 50 meters above the sea surface, at approximately Mach 0.72. At this speed and altitude, it presents a radar cross-section of approximately 0.15 square meters when seen from ahead, and approximately 0.4 square meters from broadside. The Soumar-M's terrain-following flight path uses waypoints programmed at launch to exploit the radar horizon limitations of any defending ship's sensors, approaching along the bearing axis that minimizes radar detection range. At 4:08:22, the USS Nitze's SPY-1DV radar detected the first Soumar-M contact at a range of 34.8 nautical miles, bearing 341 degrees from the north-northwest, directly from the Iranian coastline. One contact, then a second, bearing 337, a third, bearing 344. The contacts were appearing in a staggered sequence, not a simultaneous launch, but a staged deployment over a 90-second window designed to make the contact picture build gradually enough that the initial detection count would be uncertain before the engagement window closed. By the time the Nitze's Aegis combat system had generated engagement-quality fire control solutions on all identified contacts, the count stood at 9 Soumar-M cruise missiles on approach from the north-northwest. Range: 31.4 nautical miles. Time to intercept range: approximately 7 minutes. 9 Soumar-M missiles. The USS Constellation, from her southeastern position, could not contribute SM-2 rounds to intercept the northern threat axis without risk of fratricide geometry against the Blue Ridge, which lay directly between the Constellation and the incoming threat. The engagement fell on the USS Nitze alone. The Nitze's SM-2 Block 3B rounds began launching at 4:08:51, 29 seconds after first contact detection, in a ripple sequence of 2 rounds per target, 18 total. The engagement geometry was demanding. 9 contacts spread over a 7-degree azimuth arc, all at sea-skimming altitude, approaching in an echelon formation that had been specifically arranged to compress the Nitze's SM-2 engagement timeline. The trailing contacts would not enter the SM-2's effective engagement envelope until after the leading contacts had already closed to ESSM range. The echelon formation was not accidental. It was engineered to maximize the number of missiles that survived into the inner defensive layers. The SM-2 engagement layer produced 7 intercepts across 6 minutes and 40 seconds of continuous engagement, from 4:09:14 to 4:15:54. 7 of 9 Soumar-M missiles were neutralized in the SM-2 layer. 2 survived. Both trailing missiles, the ones whose echelon position had placed them behind the SM-2's effective engagement range threshold, until the Nitze's fire control system had already committed most of its illuminators to the 7 forward contacts. 2 Soumar-M missiles. Range: 8.1 and 9.3 nautical miles from the Blue Ridge. Closing at Mach 0.72. Time to impact: approximately 64 and 77 seconds, respectively. The Constellation launched 4 ESSM rounds at 4:16:02, accepting a non-optimal fratricide geometry because the alternative was no engagement at all. The ESSM engagement required careful fire control coordination to ensure the round's flight paths did not intersect the Blue Ridge's position. The Constellation's fire control team managed the geometry precisely. The first ESSM round acquired the nearer Soumar-M at 6.8 nautical miles from the Blue Ridge and impacted at 4:16:19. The detonation was a proximity fuse engagement. The ESSM's fragmentation warhead detonated at 4.1 meters from the Soumar-M's guidance section. The missile's terminal seeker was destroyed. The warhead section, structurally intact, continued forward on residual momentum, and impacted the sea at 3.8 nautical miles from the Blue Ridge. No detonation on water impact. The semi-armor-piercing fusing system required a solid surface contact to initiate, and the seawater impact at sub-threshold velocity did not trigger it. The second ESSM round was assigned to the farther Soumar-M, the second surviving contact, at 9.3 nautical miles from the Blue Ridge when the ESSM was fired. The round flew at Mach 4 toward the intercept point. The Soumar-M executed its terminal maneuver, a 2.4G lateral correction toward the Blue Ridge's transmitting antenna array, which its passive radar seeker was tracking with high confidence. The ESSM's terminal guidance corrected. At 4:16:38, the ESSM detonated at 7.2 meters from the Soumar-M's nose section. At 7.2 meters, 3.1 meters outside the optimal fragmentation density envelope for this warhead against this target. The seeker was destroyed. The left wing control surface was severed, but the warhead section and the right side fuselage remained structurally intact, carrying 400 kilograms of semi-armor piercing explosive and a functional impact fuse on a tumbling, unstabilized trajectory. The Soumar-M, or more precisely, the 400-kilogram warhead section that had been the Soumar-M, crossed the last 4.9 nautical miles in 44 seconds, falling from its sea-skimming flight altitude as the loss of its left wing produced a right-rolling descent. It was not a missile anymore. It was a falling object. But it was a falling object with a functioning impact fuse and 400 kilograms of explosive, and the trajectory, computed in real time by both the Constellation's and the Blue Ridge's own combat systems, placed its impact point approximately 180 to 320 meters from the Blue Ridge's hull. The Blue Ridge's two phalanx CIWS systems tracked the descending contact at 4:17:03. The forward phalanx acquired the tumbling airframe at 2,100 meters range. The contact was not flying in a predictable straight line. It was tumbling, rolling, descending, presenting an RCS that varied between 0.1 and 1.4 square meters as its orientation changed. The CIWS target tracking algorithm, optimized for straight-flying cruise missiles and aircraft, was processing a tumbling irregular contact that changed its predicted flight path with every degree of roll. The system fired a 1.1-second burst at 4:17:09 at 1,800 meters range. 42 of the burst's 82 rounds struck the tumbling airframe. The warhead section was struck multiple times in its aft body, not in the fuse section. The structural damage from 42 rounds of 20 millimeters reduced the warhead section's mass coherence without triggering the impact fuse. The warhead section, now fragmented and partially disintegrating from CIWS hits, impacted the sea at 4:17:14. Impact point, 218 meters off the Blue Ridge's port bow. At 218 meters, the detonation of a 400-kilogram semi-armor-piercing warhead, initiated by the solid surface contact with water at residual velocity, produced a water column 190 meters high, a shockwave equivalent to approximately 580 kilograms of TNT at standoff, and a pressure wave that reached the Blue Ridge's hull as a 2.1 G shock impulse. In the flag bridge, 4 officers were thrown from their stations simultaneously by the 2.1 G impulse. Admiral Jameson, the 5th Fleet Commander, struck the chart table edge with his left side and sustained fractured ribs, 2 on the left, and a deep laceration to his left hand from the chart table's metal corner. He remained conscious. He remained in command. In the Command Information Center below the flag bridge, the impact shock unseated 3 of the 12 tactical display monitors from their deck mounts. The monitors fell, taking their cable harnesses with them, disrupting connectivity to 3 of the 12 battle management terminals in the primary command space. The ship's primary UHF satellite communications antenna, mounted at the top of the command mast on the ship's center line, experienced a shock-induced mechanical failure of its azimuth drive motor bearing. The antenna froze at its last commanded azimuth and could no longer track its assigned satellite. The backup HF radio system automatically assumed primary communications responsibility for the ship's most critical theater links. 22 sailors aboard the Blue Ridge sustained injuries from the 2.1 G shock event, the highest single-event casualty count of any U.S. Navy vessel in the Red Sea or Gulf campaigns. None of the injuries were life-threatening. The most severe was a spinal compression injury sustained by a second-class petty officer in the after-engineering space, who was thrown vertically against an overhead fitting. She was evacuated by helicopter to the USS Comfort, operating 280 nautical miles southwest within 3 hours. The Blue Ridge's primary battle management architecture was degraded, not destroyed. 3 of 12 battle management terminals offline. Primary UHF SATCOM frozen on 1 satellite. The ship continued to function as a command node, but her throughput, the volume of tactical data she could simultaneously process, transmit, and receive, was reduced to approximately 61% of normal capacity. For the IRGC operational planning staff, this was the desired effect. The simultaneous Strait of Hormuz action, the second component of the August 14th operation, had launched at 4:11:03, 3 minutes after the Soumar-M strike began, timed to exploit precisely this degradation window. 4 IRGC fast patrol boat squadrons, totaling 22 Pickup II and Ashura-class vessels, had emerged from concealed positions in the shallow waters of the northern Gulf of Oman and were transiting southwest at maximum speed toward the Strait of Hormuz's inbound shipping lane, carrying mines and prepared to lay a barrier across the strait's navigable channel. The operation required approximately 35 minutes of uncontested access to the inbound lane to lay a partial mine barrier. With the Blue Ridge's battle management throughput reduced to 61%, the coordination of the U.S. Navy's response to the Strait of Hormuz action was slower than the operational architecture was designed to produce. The response was not absent. USS Nitze, after completing her SM-2 engagement sequence, turned southwest at flank speed toward the Hormuz action. 2 FA-18Fs from USS Abraham Lincoln, which had received the threat notification through backup circuits, were airborne and proceeding toward the strait within 11 minutes of the first PACAP detection. But the 35-minute window, the IRGC had assessed as necessary for the mine barrier. The IRGC managed 26 minutes before the first U.S. naval fires began disrupting the laying operation. Incomplete, but not zero. The retaliatory authorization for the Soumar-M strike came from the Blue Ridge at 4:31, 23 minutes after the Soumar-M impact. The decision required the Admiral himself, with 2 fractured ribs, standing at the backup command console with a field dressing on his left hand, to personally authorize the strike package. He did so in under 90 seconds of deliberation. The target package covered 3 categories. The Soumar-M launch positions in Hormozgan province, assessed from the launch trajectory back computation and corroborated by radar track data showing the missile's origin point. The PACAP and Ashura base at Bandar Abbas, where the fast patrol boats had sortied from, and the IRGC Naval Coordination Facility at Qeshm Island that the signals intelligence team aboard the Blue Ridge had identified as the operational command node for the August 14th action. 8 Tomahawk Block 5 rounds from the USS Nitze launched at 4:47:33, 39 minutes after the Soumar-M detonation. 4 rounds assigned to the Soumar-M battery positions in Hormozgan province. 2 rounds assigned to the Bandar Abbas fast patrol boat facility. 2 rounds assigned to the Qeshm Island command node. The Hormozgan province battery strike produced 2 confirmed launcher positions destroyed. The Tomahawks DSMAC terminal guidance identifying the distinctive angular profile of the mobile launcher vehicles and confirming impact. A 3rd launcher position showed no vehicle present. The TEL had relocated in the hours between the pre-mission imagery and the strike delivery, leaving an empty prepared firing position. The fourth round impacted the facility's command shelter as planned. The Bandar Abbas facility strike hit the designated pier and maintenance building. Post-strike imagery showed structural damage to both aim points and secondary combustion in the pier's fuel distribution system. 3 fast patrol boats that had not participated in the Hormuz action and remained at the pier were assessed as rendered inoperable by the blast and fire damage. The Qeshm Island Command Facility strike, 2 Tomahawk rounds targeting a reinforced building on the island's southwestern coast, produced its rounds on target. Post-strike signals intelligence showed the cessation of the specific communications traffic associated with the facility within 12 seconds of the first impact. A resumption was detected from an alternate frequency and location 7 hours later. What the signals intelligence could not determine from available sensors was whether the facility's operational staff had dispersed before the strike. The standard IRGC protocol, which the operational analysis community had observed consistently across 18 months of similar strikes, calls for dispersal within 20 minutes of the launch of any strike operation, on the assumption that U.S. retaliatory fires will target the originating command node. The August 14th operation was launched at 4:08. The Blue Ridge's Tomahawks impacted at 4:47, 39 minutes. The dispersal protocol had had 39 minutes to execute. Whether it had been followed on this specific occasion could not be confirmed. The Strait of Hormuz mine barrier operation was not completed. The 26 minutes of uncontested access that the IRGC patrol boats achieved produced an estimated 11 to 14 mines laid in the inbound shipping lane. A partial barrier that required 17 hours of mine countermeasure operations by USS Scout and USS Devastator before the lane was certified safe for commercial transit. During those 17 hours, inbound commercial shipping was diverted around the western Strait of Hormuz route, adding approximately 4 to 6 hours to each transit and generating an immediate 0.4% increase in Brent crude futures pricing on the opening of European markets. The partial mine barrier, combined with the Blue Ridge's 61% battle management throughput during the critical engagement window, represented the closest the IRGC had come to achieving meaningful strategic effect in the Gulf theater since the campaign began. Here at Navy Legends, August 14th, 2027, is the engagement that answers the question posed at the beginning. Why is the most important ship in the theater the least defended one? It is not a failure of planning. It is a structural tension in naval command architecture that has no clean resolution. A command ship that is adequately defended, surrounded by multiple Aegis-capable escorts with robust SM-2 and SM-6 inventories, is a command ship that has pulled significant combat power away from the forces it is supposed to command and massed it around itself. A command ship that is minimally defended, as the Blue Ridge was on August 14th, is one that keeps its combat power distributed where it can engage the adversary, at the cost of accepting risk to the command node itself. The IRGC found the seam in that tension. 9 Soumar-M missiles from the north, timed to a Hormuz mine operation that required precisely the command degradation window the strike was designed to create. The strike was not designed to sink the Blue Ridge. It was designed to reduce her battle management throughput by a specific percentage for a specific duration. The warhead impact at 218 meters achieved exactly that reduction. The mine-laying operation exploited exactly that window. The Blue Ridge's primary UHF antenna was repaired at sea within 9 hours. Her 3 battle management terminals were restored within 4 hours. The ship was at 100% battle management capacity by 1300 local on August 14th. The IRGC's operational window had lasted approximately 3 hours and 52 minutes. In those 3 hours and 52 minutes, 11 to 14 mines had been laid in the Strait of Hormuz shipping lane, and 17 hours of commercial shipping delay had been generated. Modern naval warfare is sometimes decided by platforms and munitions, and sometimes it is decided by windows, by the gaps between full capability and degraded capability, measured not in knots or megatons, but in minutes. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.